Welcome back to day 102 of our chess journey to 1500 ELO on chess.com. We are just creeping on closer and closer to 1500 ELO now. We are 21 points away. Let's jump on ahead and try to get some more points today. We get Sprunge from Russia, or Bulgaria, rated 1503. We'll have the Sicilian. And this might be an interesting one, because if we win today, this will in fact be our first win against a 1500 plus opponent. I think our highest win so far has been against a 1490 something opponent, 1495 if I'm not mistaken. So this might be quite fun, or a milestone at least. We have this, I guess. I don't quite know if this works. Let's just play the traditional line here, traditional like this. Now we don't quite get a Najdorf. Not every Sicilian has to be a Najdorf. Now this move does allow us the option here of playing this kind of a setup with the knights, maybe going for d6 and fianchettoing here perhaps, which tends to be quite decent against a lot of anti-Sicilians. So if we see something like a Grand Prix pre-attack, that might be our desired option here. I'm realizing it's quite typical once we started recording the video. I'm realizing here our neighbors have started mowing the lawn, so hopefully that doesn't become too much of an issue, or too loud rather. I don't even know whether you guys can hear it, but it's mildly loud here. Hopefully the microphone does not quite pick it up. So the bishop could come out here, I guess. We could see this kind of a setup. d4 is always an option, but we get this, which to me, well, I'm quite happy to see this move is what I was going to say here, because now we do not see f4, which is a quite confrontational move, which I do not quite know the theory against. If we go here, and we get this, and this, and this, here we can go like this, and if takes, we just take. This kind of a diagonal setup here seems to be okay. Just want to make sure there is no issue here. Can we take here? I'm not quite sure, but I think we'll go for this. Let's not spend all of our time on move 3. Might have had this as well, or this. Honestly, in the Sicilian, there are quite a few variations with minimal difference in evaluation. This is the most likely move to be played here. This might be played as well, or this. If this is played, we could go here, or we could blunt the bishop here and prepare for an eventual d5. We could have a6 at some point. The bishop comes out here, which I kind of anticipated. And this is still an option, I think. And this is an option. I think I prefer this, because now this becomes... yeah, it's not an option here actually. If we get our bishop here, this pawn can't be pushed. And that's a lot of the potential power, I think, is white in those kinds of positions here. And then we can play this afterwards and get the knight out and get our setup going. I'm not expecting this to work in any way or shape or form, because the bishop will get blunted. The pawn can't be pushed. This pawn can't be pushed now. We can start to grab space and bully the pieces. And maybe do so like this as well. So honestly, I think I rather enjoy our position so far. Might be equals still, but I don't feel like we're under pressure, which is a good starting point at least. Is this a move? Surely this knight move doesn't quite work, does it? We just play the move we intended to play, and where does the knight go? This just seems like it gives us a free move. Let's evaluate this. We play this, the knight has to go here or here. No, can't go there, can't go here, can't go here, can't go here. So it's got to go back, and I think we're quite happy with this. The knight has to go here, which doesn't do a whole lot. We just got a free move, or two even, here. And well, I still think we can play like this, or like this. We just got a free move, and let's play it. So now I'm feeling quite confident here. We are probably favored by the engine, although I don't know to which degree. The knight comes back here. Is this a move? Takes, takes. Let's have a look. Takes, and well, not quite, not yet. But this might prepare d5, controlling this square and preparing castling. The knight here can't quite do a whole lot, so I don't think this is an improvement for our opponent. They might want to get the knight over here, but I'm not quite convinced. We might have this in some lines, trying to get the bishop, although I would prefer coming out here first and developing our knight. It's quite dangerous playing the Sicilian against an opponent, or rather, I lost my chain of thought. It's dangerous playing the Sicilian and not castling. So this is a kind of Alpin-esque move, preparing d4 with the c4 move. Let's calculate what happens here. Takes, takes. And there we can't take, but can we start off with this move first? Maybe allowing ourselves to control d4 better. So look here first. Takes, takes. The bishop probably has to move. We could jump in. No, we can't, because the pawn is moved there, so that's not an option. But do we have to worry about this? It's not as though we have to forcibly prevent the move. Although, this, and we might have some queen move here at some point. Although I'm not quite sure. My intuition here tells me to just get castled first and then deal with those issues or situational things, positional things afterwards. d5 should still be an option. And we will try to break out here. Let's have a look at this. We do get this move. Can we force this first? If takes, we just take the bishop, right? So it takes, the bishop might move. But if it goes there, then it's kind of a trap, because when we take, we can pick it up like this. The bishop, that is. If the bishop comes back, then I guess we can take. Yeah, my intuition here tells me this seems to be better. So let's go for d5 before taking here. I don't know whether I'd call it intuition or not. I guess the calculations, at least the calculations I found, seem to favor this, as long as I evaluated this correctly. I'm hoping for this, because getting this and this would be fantastic. Our opponent plays this move, and now we have to make a decision. If we take, we might end up with an isolated queen's pawn. But I think we have to take, because if we do it like this, then we just lose a pawn, I think. So let's kick the bishop. We might have c4, but I don't quite want to play it. But if this here is played, I think we take, because of the reason I mentioned earlier on. Once this happens, it's free real estate. Still having a bit of a cough, but it's not the worst. Although it's kind of annoying during the night still, because it gets worse when I lay down than what it is when I sit up, or when I'm walking, rather. The bishop comes back here. Okay. So what is our ideal approach here? If we get takes, I don't quite want to play with an isolated queen's pawn. Doesn't seem to be ideal. But is this any good though? I seem to dislike what's transpired here and how the position is played out. I think I misevaluated something, but this would be a mutual rather isolated queen's pawn position, so it's not as though we are at or in a worse position than our opponent. There is some symmetry here in the position, at least in terms of pawn structure. We have equal material, no imbalance. Would be nice to introduce some imbalance, but we'll see what we can do. I guess our opponent here doesn't quite want to take with the pawn. I wouldn't have either. But I don't think they have a lot of options. If they do take, what I'm looking at here is queen here, applying pressure. And here it gets kind of difficult to defend the pawn, I think. Maybe knight back here is what I'm looking at, but it's not ideal, to be honest. Having to go back just to protect the pawn seems, well, not ideal. And here we might even have something like this being annoying. Here, let's have a quick look at our opponent's options for defending the pawn. This knight is already defending it. This bishop can't. This bishop can't do so in one move at least, because it can't go here or here. So if you see this, no pawn can defend it, no rook can defend it. Only way to defend the pawn would be this move, at least as far as I'm concerned. And then, what happens if we go here, threatening to take the rook, or the knight rather? Can the bishop come? Not quite, I think, because this, and we force the queen away. And here I think we have one more piece staring down at this pawn. So I'm quite optimistic here. We might be playing up a pawn, but it will not be an easily defended pawn. Still, a pawn is a pawn. If we are able to hold on to it, it should prove to be quite useful. And here even, I guess, if this knight comes back, our opponent does not have pressure on our pawn, so we could actually move our knight up instead, hitting this pawn while also hitting the potential bishop coming up here. So let's have a quick look at this first. Can our opponent defend this? Well, if this is played, we have this. And importantly here, I think, in this line, our bishop doesn't leave, so this pawn is defended. So the rook can't hit us and take our pawn. I think I might prefer this. It might not be the best move, but there is some merit to it. Although still I am looking at this because it gets us fully developed. This surely it does still win a pawn here. I think I'd like to get our last minor piece out after looking at the position here, so we can get our rooks active and get closer to a decent position, or a winning position, hopefully. So now I think we're just building small incremental positional leads, although I don't quite know whether we could call them leads or yet not. Leads or not yet. We'll have to see. At least if I am evaluating this correctly, we should have a slight lead here. I wanted to keep this knight here as well, to defend this pawn, because once this pawn falls, there are going to be eyes on our pawn, and we don't want to have to spend a lot of moves defending this. It would be nice having a piece defending it preemptively. I looked at this and concluded it cuts off this connection, so here we can take this. And if this is played, we have this in between move, I think, allowing us to take here afterwards. The lead we're getting here is not massive, not in the slightest or at all. An annoying move here, I realized, might have been this. It was not played, the knight comes back here, and what do we do? As I mentioned, I think this does look like a free pawn to me. And I'm quite fond of getting free pawns. There might be some merit to going here. We have 6 minutes left, our opponent has got 7. Okay, so if we take, our opponent takes, we take, then this becomes a threat. And the king here remains uncastled. Takes, 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 or we might even have takes, 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 looking to get this. Either way, a pawn is a pawn, and I think we'll grab it when we have the chance. This is playable, but I don't think it's good. Or is it? Let's calculate. I didn't quite see this here. And, well, I guess probably here. Takes. And this is, yeah, it's not ideal, because if we take with the knight, we lose this pawn. So just let me have a quick look here. This is a threat, so we either have to take the knight or we have to check. I'm leaning towards this first, because now we don't have to move this knight and we can build up a defense for our pawn in the meantime. Whereas if we go here, allow for this, and go here, this is lost. So let's do it like this instead. Now we might have some annoying stuff here, like taking here at some point, and then taking here. We'll have to see. I'm expecting castles, after which taking the bishop perhaps, which might force the queen to take, so it doesn't stare down at our pawn. I don't know if this is free or not. This seems scary. Let's calculate. This forces this. The pawn is weak. We might just leave it be, to be honest, because the bishop can't move and this pawn can't move at all because of this. So here and here, the bishop, our opponent loses the bishop here. And then I guess we move the rooks out. Makes sense to me, at least. I'm looking for alternatives here, but I'm not quite seeing any. This doesn't convince me. I didn't like this pressure. So we'll take here. The queen will take. Let's have a look here. If we take and our opponent plays like this. No. The queen defends here now, so we can't quite take there. Okay. So instead, maybe we'll develop with tempo, hitting the queen. If we hit the queen, where does it go? Maybe here. Looking for this. But honestly, we can protect with a rook. And if the queen is in front, our opponent can't take regardless because it loses material. So I think this seems to be good. Just scanning quickly to look for alternatives, not seeing any. Let's save time and play rook f to e8. So well, the central pawn here is our advantage if you disregard positional advantage, which honestly this pressure here looks really annoying. So I wouldn't quite disregard our positional advantage here. Maybe this rook has to move at some point, or this pawn or the bishop can never really move. We have to defend the pawn, we don't want to block our stuff. So rook a to d1, or d8 rather. Defending it from behind, as was the plan, seems to be decent. This does nothing, because our opponent still can't take with the queen. The bishop can't move. I think this might be the best move for our opponent here, which is a move you don't quite want to have to play, but sometimes you just have to play subpar moves. That's how the game works. Would like to get a rook down here. I was looking at this, but then is this good? I don't quite know. A rook here would give us some devastating pressure, but this rook does move, and well, now we could look at some alternatives maybe. Can we target this pawn? Well, we might, but I'm not really seeing anything decisive there. I would like to trade queens perhaps, allowing us to utilize our rook activity, or our higher or better rook activity. So what I'm looking at now is actually going for this, trying to force this and going like this. Because if we get the trade in this way, I think it should favor us. At least that's what my intuition tells me. I think those pieces here are worse than ours. And we have the pawn, which hopefully should favor us in the long term. Now our main threat here is this, I think. Although, let's say our opponent here plays a random move. I don't think we can go here because of takes, and once we take, the queen takes. Well, this is annoying. We get pinned. But is it bad? One, two, three. I don't think it's bad. I think we take the knight, and this is forced, and then we move the queen, and our opponent's position gets worse. Yeah, this has to be right. Still, we are staring down here. This pawn is hit. This defends this pawn and this pawn, while also hitting this one. And if we take this pawn, we defend this as well. So this makes sense to me. I don't see why we wouldn't play it. Now we can even afford, I think, to lose this pawn because of our positional advantage with this, as well as our piece activity here. Those rooks are not quite in the game. This pawn is annoying to defend. Having to invest a tempo like this is not ideal. This has to be bad, right? Takes, and we play this, and our opponent does not have any pressure here, but they do have doubled pawns. And this has to be good. Simplifications should favor us here as well. And make the conversion easier. This is an annoying move because I wanted to play this first. Well, could go here is an option, but then this doesn't work. We want to keep our pawn, we don't want to give it up for free. This doesn't work because we get in like this. But here we cut off our bishop. So honestly, maybe this move, defending the pawn and allowing this rook to slide over while staying off the dark squares, so this bishop doesn't get annoying. Now this maneuver maybe, disallowing our opponent from playing their intended plan here. The bishop seems active. Let's go for it. We don't have a lot of time, so we'll just have to play good moves. Now this might become a move, although this might work against us. Not quite actually, because we can take, and if takes, and takes, I think we have rid ourselves of our weakness and should be in a good spot. Here takes, yeah, I think this works. This can't be taken because of this. So I'm quite optimistic, but there is still a lot of work to be done here. If the bishop has to move, this looks like great pressure. This bishop still prevents this pawn from moving. Our opponent here wants this, but we have defended ourselves. Let's get into the position like this. Now there might be an argument here, I guess, for pushing this pawn, but we can't quite control d1 yet. Or can we? Let's have a maybe. We could have this in some lines, which might be decisive. But it would have to be calculated, and I don't think we have the time to calculate such a line now, so maybe just playing moves we know are good should work in our favor. Can this pawn be defended? think I'd like to go here actually. And then we could have some annoying plans like this. And our opponent's position might just collapse. Can't easily push here because of those ideas. We get this, but is it good or is it not? Here. Let's just get into the position here. I don't quite know how our opponent here prevents us from playing a rook to e2. It doesn't seem fun to deal with. Well, the bishop might go here and defend this, but then it's kind of out of the play on this side. And we might be threatening this as well in some lines. Getting rid of one pair of rooks, which might favor us. So 29 seconds. We can't afford to get into difficult technical complications here. At least I don't think so. Let's go here first, expecting this to be played. And if it's played, what do we do then? Maybe this, this and this. Or we could follow this with this move. The clock is ticking. Let's move the king up a bit. This is still an option. It's not an option if this is played. If this is played, or this rather, we have this in this position at least, but if this is played, this might become an issue. Might be nice having our bishop in c5 and playing like this, staring down at this pawn, defending this, this, and just holding stuff together. Still not quite sure what the best move is. We will have to see. This rook can't move, then this pawn falls. This rook doesn't have a whole lot of possibilities. And, well, this bishop has to stay defending the f2 pawn. So maybe the king moves. But no, we get this. Does it not win a pawn? I think it does. I don't see our opponent's concrete plan here. I think we might get two defended pass pawns, or connected pass pawns rather, which should be great. This, and we have this now. Okay, we have to go here. Can't go here because of this fork. Let's make sure not to get back rank mated though, so playing like this at some point should be good. Now the h7 square is open. This might still be played. Then we'll hide on h7. Alternatively, our opponent might go here. They don't. We get checked. I missed the checkmate. No. Not again. So we had to go to h6 then, I guess. Well, that's bad. Anyways, thanks for the game. Well played to our opponent. I see they got plus 17, I think, meaning their ELO has not quite stabilized yet. They might be on a uproar. Let's have a look at this. This is unfortunate. We were winning for a long time. But then we had a single blunder, which lost us the game. I see apart from it, we only had 2 inaccuracies, so I guess we were in the 90s in terms of accuracy up to that point. Unfortunate, well, it is how it is. Let's go through the analysis. This was all good. All good. Yeah, this was really good actually. Should have apparently pushed here. Didn't quite want to do so. And this, honestly, this position here just looks crushing for us. This was good. But this too. Should have went here. And then this can't be defended. So what's our best move here? Taking this. Okay, so if we don't go here, what is our best move? Okay, we could play this here. I didn't quite see this because I thought already we can't push this pawn while the king was back on g8 here. So I didn't reconsider it in this position. Should have done so, and then we would have went on to win, I think, because there is no threat. We are going to win this pawn, and well, 1, 2, 3, do the math. Maybe we lose this pawn, but should even favor us, I think, because we trade material and make it easier to convert. This was just heartbreaking. It was crushing. It's unfortunate. We have lost to this pattern before. It's not ideal. I simply forgot about this h8 square being controlled by the bishop. This does not save us at all. Oops. That's a loss for today. Well, anyways, we're still close to our goal. I felt like we had a good game, saved the one move at the end there. This has been a tactical pattern we lost to recently, so it's got to be drilled in at this point. Let's not lose to this again. Well, that's our game here. Thanks to our opponent Sprunju from, was it Bulgaria? Yes, for the game. Thanks for... I see my OBS kind of killed off the feed from the browser. It does that at times when I think it's called the memory gets close to 100%. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. This has been our game for today, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. There we go. Bye bye.